Death Blade, Sidewinder, daring. Lunchtime is over. It's heist time. Velvet Thunder. Pump, pump. My wife was murdered by a man in a yellow sweater. Brooklyn, Brooklyn.
What's up everyone, Adam from FWCI. This is my Brooklyn Nine-Nine series wrap-up. I'm gonna do my best to try and summarize the entire series of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I'm gonna go through my top 3 side characters, my top 3 Captain Holt moments, and then I'm gonna count down my top 9 episodes of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and there will be a video going up alongside this one that will have my 9 episode reactions with it as well, so make sure you check that one out. But there's not really anything else Brooklyn related that I can do on the channel. There's probably interviews and stuff, but I don't know how that goes for reaction content. But if there's any other Brooklyn stuff that you think I should react to here, please let me know and maybe I'll do it down the track. But at the moment, this is like the final encore farewell, so let's jump into this. This is my Brooklyn Nine-Nine series wrap-up. Now, my first reaction to this show went up on January the 22nd in 2022, so it's taken me about 2 and a bit years to watch the entire series here on the channel. And when I started that was, January 2022. So I had about 5,000 subscribers. Now I'm at over 20,000, and Brooklyn has been a mainstay on the channel for a reason. It's a hell of a lot of fun to watch. The views do exactly what I'm hoping that they would do, and it's just an overall good quality show. There was a weird time there where, is this NBC as well? I think this might be a different network, but there was a weird time around this time where there were just crazy good sitcoms, like really, really good ones, all coming out at the same time. There was like 30 Rock, Community, The Office, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Parks and Recreation. Like, something about that point in time, just the sitcom world just sort of had this huge boom. And since I started watching this show, I've become a huge fan of Andy Samberg and everything he does. I recently watched Palm Springs on the channel. I did Popstar, Never Stop, Never Stoppin', and a bunch of Lonely Island songs and stuff like that. And the final episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine really got me emotional, and that was partly because I was just so happy to see Andy Samberg, get to put that bow on this amazing series that he was, the focal point of, the main character of. And I'm sure he has a lot of influence over, what happens with the show, especially being in the role that he's in. And I think the show was an absolute win. They absolutely killed it. And talking about the finale, I think it was a great, it was a very over-the-top finale. It was 2 parts. There were cameos all over the place. Like, it was a very busy finale as opposed to the season before. I think that's where it ended with the wedding for Amy and Jake, I believe. One of the seasons ended with a wedding. And that was a nice ending as well, and you definitely could have left it there. But the real finale that we ended up getting at the end brought back so many other elements. And the final season, they did a great job of really highlighting a lot of the fun that we've had along the years that people have been watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine while still telling a bit of a different story. So season 8, I think, was actually pretty good for the most part, and then season 7 was a little bit of a dud, and I think season 6 was a bit of a dud as well. But it's a show that was very enjoyable from the first season to the last. So this will forever hold a very special place in my heart, but we're going to get into the top 3. Let's get it started. Top 3 side characters is what we're going to go with first. Starting at number 3, Kevin Costner.
Better get some corticosteroids to treat that laryngeal fracture.
Okay, yeah, that's very informative and quite polite.
Kevin Costner is such a great character because, first of all, the actor that plays him, Mark Evan Jackson, just does an outstanding job at bringing that character to life, ironically, considering he appears to be dead inside. But that, to me, shows a lot of talent, being able to bring a deadpan character like that, through the screen the way he did. So many good episodes, so many good moments with this character. Some of them very heartfelt, some of them were very heart-wrenching, others were just straight up hilarious. The episode with Jake in the safe house certainly comes to mind, but anytime you got Kevin Costner in this show, he was always adding something to the scene, And him with Captain Holt, their dynamic was always great. But I think Kevin and Jake also had some pretty unmistakable chemistry as well. So Kevin is number 3, and my second favorite side character from Brooklyn Nine-Nine is the devil herself, Madeline Wuntch.
But if you're here, who's guarding Hades?
Giving Holt this nemesis to go back and forth with these unbelievably articulate insults that they would throw to each other, and just Wuntch's absolute unwavering nature towards Holt as well is something that you just didn't see very much. Like, nobody really made Holt feel on the spot with the exception of Wuntch, and that's because the animosity between the two was just so constant throughout the entire series beyond her death. I mean, is this one of the best used character deaths in any TV show? Because Holt having all this fun, even though she passed away, was somehow classic Holt, but also just the most outrageous shit you've ever seen in your life. So Madeline Wuntch had some great scenes, great actress, great character. She's number 2 on the list. But my number 1 favorite side character, come on, you know who it is. It's Doug Judy.
Doug Judy never leaving a trace. Pontiac stolen, friendships grown, chasing bad guys, they're never alone. No handcuffs that hold them there and not there, but together they're like tigers and toots. Oh yeah!
Every single episode that Doug Judy was in, I loved. It was almost all of them were my favorite episodes within the season. And Craig Robinson, he really, I don't know if anybody else could play this character. You probably could, I guess, but Craig Robinson just is perfect because he's so friendly and lovable. He has this like beautiful smile. He doesn't seem like he doesn't seem like a scorpion, even though he is a scorpion and Scorp's got a Scorp. But he just seems like this incredibly trustworthy human being, and that's what makes him and Jake's, just the whole dynamic between them, the constant back and forth. Doug Judy always getting away every single episode. But one thing they did great with this series is the running jokes that they did, continue on. And I always felt like I wasn't expecting Doug Judy when he did show up. I never expected him to escape at the end or be involved in some sort of crime or, have some kind of twist. It always caught me off guard, and I think that's a testament to the writing and what they managed to do with that character. And the final episode, PB&J, with the two of them, that was the ultimate send-off. I'm not even mad that Doug Judy wasn't in the finale because he's off in Holland living his best life. So shout out to Craig Robinson, Doug Judy. I love that character. He's my number 1 favorite side character from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. My top 3 Captain Holt moments. Let's start with number 3. It's got to be Wuntch's funeral.
Bagel! Bagel! Bagel!
The condensed amount of insults packed into this episode. Holt's just complete, unwavering disdain for Madeline Wuntch just carried that entire episode, and I loved that Wuntch was still trying to get him from beyond the grave, but Captain Holt, I mean, look at it.
You don't feel sad when a monster dies in a monster movie. Human Blister took a trip to Korea just to research new Wuntch insults because her eyes are ugly. As God said, when Wuntch tried to sneak past the gates into heaven, it ain't happening, honey. A sinkhole where she was spawned. Wuntch is dead! Bagel!
Judging by the flames around her, it could be a live stream.
Very good, Rosa. A Korean toilet ghost lives in an outhouse, wraps her hair around your throat, and chokes you to death while you move your bowels. I almost forgot who the real villain was. The woman who recently died.
My number 2 favorite Captain Holt moment from Brooklyn Nine-Nine is Da Bomb.
You're just as competitive as we are.
Absurd. I'm more competitive.
So Amy and Rosa are doing a bomb defusing course, and Captain Holt is there with them. What I love about this moment, why this moment is so special to me, is again, great writing. They convinced me that Captain Holt was the voice of reason throughout this entire scene, and that Amy and Rosa were in the middle of their, whatever competition that they had going on, and Captain Holt was really sort of trying to defuse their enthusiasm by, telling them to take it more seriously and stuff like that. And then we get the bomb drop where Holt, pun intended, The bomb drops and Holt reveals that he's been trying to distract them because he's so goddamn competitive. And that's what I love about Holt. I love competitive Holt when he is just, you know, ruthless with his competition. And we see a lot of that in the heists, especially as the season goes on. But this was, I feel like, one of the really first signs of that irrationally competitive Captain Holt. And the way the whole thing went through, the surprise, the twist, the dialogue, it was just a very spectacular, memorable moment that I personally enjoyed enough to put it in the number 2 spot, my top 3 list, which means there's one left. What is my favorite Captain Holt moment from all of Brooklyn Nine-Nine? I want you at home to say what you think it is out loud, but before you do, actually, I should probably have mentioned this earlier. My wife was murdered by a man in a yellow sweater.
It's the one case I can't solve.
This was the moment of Brooklyn Nine-Nine where I realized that not only was it a funny show, but it was the kind of funny show that was really going to speak to my sense of humor and take the things over the line in the direction that you're really hoping they do. It's a beautiful setup, like just from a joke writing standpoint. Like Jake fills Holt's ears with all of this information, and Holt is just like, I'm not doing this, take this seriously, you know, we just have to get this signature, blah, blah, blah. And they played it down so well that you didn't know what was going to happen. Was Jake going to go into character and Holt was going to be the straight man? Like, I did not expect that it would start off the way it did, and then Holt would have to snap into this over-the-top character with all the details that Jake had already provided him outside before they went in. And Peralta's face in the background just adds to it. Holt is so serious. Andre Brewer delivers it with so much conviction and real legitimate like acting ability. And I would have to imagine that when they cast him and when they were writing this character, that they had this moment earmarked for some point in the series. They're like, eventually he is going to start playing on with Peralta and doing these, silly things. Let's really do our work and make sure that we're not telegraphing that in any way, shape, or form. Because when it did finally happen, it was orgasmic for me because I just loved it. It was exactly what I wanted to happen, and they did it beautifully. So that's my top 3 Captain Holt moments and my top 3, side characters as well. In terms of cold opens, we didn't really get any good cold opens as like in the later part of the series, like at all. That everything was kind of a tacked on beginning to the episode, which was kind of unfortunate because I guess the best cold open would have been the Backstreet Boys one, the Tell Me Why. Definitely number 1 there. What else? We had some good ones with Boyle showing up to Halloween. If you really want to know about my favorite top cold opens, go back and have a look at my wrap-ups from the other seasons, because I definitely covered them on there. But the Backstreet Boys one is obviously the big one that comes to mind because that was just perfectly executed, and I can see why that went viral. I never saw it like at all. Like maybe I can sort of picture the people there. Maybe I saw it in like a thumbnail or something once upon a time. But yeah, I never saw that video ever, and I'm glad I didn't, because when I got to react to it, it was something special. But now let's talk about my top 9 episodes of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. If you do want to watch reactions to these, go check out the video. I'm going to upload them all. They'll be in order, as well as I'm going to rank them here. So let's get jumping into it, because we have 9 to get through, which is quite a bit. Number 9 on the list, Season 6, Episode 2, Hitchcock and Scully.
What they drink now, Hitchcock?
Don't mind if I do, Scully.
Don't mind if I do.
So this episode, the side story with Santiago and Terry, arguing, I don't think it was the best, but the drama and comedy that we got from current day Hitchcock and Scully, and in their flashbacks as well, is some of the best Brooklyn Nine-Nine moments ever. Like, I loved how much we know about these two, and then seeing their history. It was just the perfect time to do that, and I don't think anybody expected that this is where Hitchcock and Scully's story would have originated from. But I like the fact that we had a follow-on from the character at the very beginning of that and her working at Wing Sluts. Getting to be inside Wing Sluts, that doesn't sound right, was a great experience. And the two guys that played young Hitchcock and young Scully did an absolutely amazing job, especially at the end when they were just hoofing into the wings for the first time, changing their life forever. Number 8, Season 3, Episode 13, The Cruise.
He's right in front of you, a little bit to the left. My left, my left, my left, my left.
So what we thought was going to be an Amy and Jake, we've just started dating, let's go away on a cruise romance episode, quickly turned into the third installment of the Pontiac Bandit saga that would span across Brooklyn Nine-Nine's entire series run. The side story on this was okay. It was Rosa and Boyle, competing to try and get this cheap apartment, even though the lady had just been murdered in it. And I liked the twist in that. I didn't see it coming that it was going to be the landlord that killed her just so he could increase the rent. Maybe that's an obvious thing that I missed, but for me personally, I thought that was a pretty genius twist for that little side story. Like I say, it was a pretty minor thing, but it made that episode on its first watch for me, enjoyable in a different way. But this episode being at sea just added a whole layer of unpredictability with Jake and Doug Judy, and they used that really well throughout the story, like being in international waters and he can't arrest him and everything like that. We got to meet Horatio, what's his name? Horatio Velveteen, that's right. We got to meet Horatio Velveteen and get a bit of Doug Judy singing some songs in this one as well. And some great bro time between Doug and Jake as well. So it was a great Doug Judy episode. But what I also enjoyed about this was the other side story, which was Captain Holt and his sister Debbie. I don't know why we didn't bring that character back. I thought she was great. I thought her and Andre Brewer had great chemistry. And we got to see a really empathetic side of Captain Holt, which to that point, I don't think we had really seen yet. Like a really, really honest, hey, come here and talk to me. I can tell you're hurting, genuine kind of thing. So it was a great episode for Holt. It was a great episode for Doug Judy. And it was a great episode for Rosa or Boyle. I can't remember who ended up getting it. I think somebody else did. Probably the Vulture. Number 7 on the list, Season 4, Episode 14, Serve and Protect.
Your theory is outrageous, and what's more, it's just a theory. So
Nathan Fillion steals the show in this episode, and I love that we've got this kind of meta story where there's this Law and Order type show that exists within the Brooklyn Nine-Nine universe. I don't know, just a little thing like that. It adds a bit more realism and relatability to it, I suppose. And it makes sense that Rosa and Peralta would be huge fans of it as well. But we got to meet Cole Tracker, which was, I can't even remember what the real name is, but that's the character's name that Nathan Fillion plays in the show. Very cheesy, very over the top, but it just landed in every single scene. And we had a side story where it was Amy and Gina helping Terry deal with an ex who's now above him in the police thing, and that was okay. We had some laughs in that, but the real juice of this was Amy and Jake having a genuine falling out in this episode as well. Again, a bit of drama. It wasn't just all laughs, but when we got them doing the double tracker at the end of the episode and getting Cole Tracker to admit whatever it was he did. He killed somebody, he threw away a laptop or something. It doesn't even matter because Nathan Fillion absolutely killed it. So that's why that is number 7 on the list. Mainly for Nathan Fillion, but also the general concept of the whole episode was something that I just enjoyed a lot. Number 6 on my top 9 episodes of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Season 8, Episode 5, PB&J.
Let me guess, Doug wasn't excited about prison and now he's trying to escape?
You know
it. Good luck, Doug.
A beautiful episode, genuinely heartwarming, and an amazing salute to the greatest bromance on TV. I mean, you got to put it up there with Troy and Abed, for example. This is probably a good time to, again, test the waters on if I should watch Psych. I've already had a lot of good feedback about potentially doing that in the future. So I love a good bromance in a TV show, and this one I'm such a ridiculous moron when I'm hanging out with my friends. Like, it really is more like my life than anything else in all of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. And I can't even make that up. It really, really is. That Doug Judy, Jake Peralta reminds me of me and like my mate Jamie, for example. The absolute absurdity that we enjoy together is, you know, something that really, really means something to me. So having the ending of this with Jake, you know, what did he do? He slipped a paperclip to Doug Judy, letting him escape the cuffs, basically, so he can go, you know, live in Holland with his wife, who we never actually did get to meet. Beautiful ending that Jake finally sort of let Doug Judy go, rather than trying to keep him contained and keep him within the law. So just a great ending to their story, and an episode that was just hilarious the entire way through. Tigers and toucans, baby. Tigers and toucans. Number 5 on the list, Season 5, Episode 12, The Safe House.
Better get some corticosteroids to treat that laryngeal fracture. Sorry, I couldn't bring myself to call him a dirtbag.
So this episode, we got to see Peralta paired up with Kevin Costner when Kevin's life is being threatened by criminals. Mark Evan Jackson, he really gets to indulge in that character in this episode. He has so many angles. I mean, he already has to play the character quite introverted and intelligent, but now he has to do it while he's fearful and stressed out. He's also trying to fit in with Jake. He's also going through these marital issues with Captain Holt. So a lot of Kevin Costner in this episode, and I think it was good. I feel like they rode the momentum that they built from this character throughout the rest of the series. And this came in season 5, but I think Kevin Costner definitely had his big moment in this episode here. Holt, as the emotionally oblivious and overprotective robot that he is, becomes really overbearing in this episode, and it creates legit friction. Another thing that I keep mentioning Brooklyn Nine-Nine does really well with their episodes is has genuine drama and heart interjected in there as well. And it hit Jake really hard. It hit Holt really hard. It hit Kevin really hard. Like, all these main characters were so deeply affected by the savage argument that Holt and Kevin had. I mean, I don't know how Jake was able to sort of be in the same room as all that was going on.
I disagree.
Well then, we are in disagreement. You'll have to excuse me.
And it did plant the seeds for Holt and Kevin to have marital problems, which would be, again, a story that would stretch over the rest of the series. So, I don't know, I enjoy that kind of foreshadowing. You don't always get that in episodic shows like this. They're sometimes having to make decisions on the fly and that kind of thing. And on the side stories, we had Scully having a superpower where he can, you know, put together puzzles, aka shredded documents. Good work, Scully. That was a great bit of back and forth with him and Santiago about that. I really enjoyed. And we had Rosa getting all those different hairstyles and having to stay undercover and talk like a completely different person for pretty much the duration of the entire episode. That was a great change for Rosa, and Stephanie Beatrice is amazing, so obviously she knocked it out the park. My 4th favorite episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Season 5, Episode 14, The Box.
Robert Rob Henry Tupper.
Now say it with a frown on your face.
Robert Rob Henry Tupper.
Now try not to blink so tears come into your eyes.
Robert Rob Henry.
So this episode has no side stories. One of the very few that, are written that way, and I think it was perfect because the intrigue of this episode was really legitimate, and I wouldn't have wanted to cut away to anything else, so it was a great decision to do it that way. And this is where we get Holt and Peralta interrogating Philip Davidson, played by the unbelievable Sterling K. Brown. Now, I'm a guy that likes verbal jousting and good, like, debate and, good lines and comebacks and stuff like that. So this episode is very deserving of the position that it has on this list. Even though there's no action in it or stunts or anything like that, it's basically just 3 people doing this storytelling. We had Andre Brewer, who is no stranger to interrogation scenes in this. I guess in his element, he would have definitely been channeling his character from, I think, is it Homicide, Life on the Streets he used to do. I watched a couple of clips from that, and it was quite funny watching him doing it even more earnestly than he is doing it in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. But having that kind of authenticity in this scene was just, it took it to a whole other level where this episode really didn't need another layer of awesome, but it just gives it to you because it's Andre Brewer and this is the skill set that he has. Sterling K. Brown played this character, I think, beyond the expectations of the viewer, and that's what made that character so entertaining, the way that he was able to... Again, the actor is sort of acting beyond the viewer's expectations, and the character is, you know, exceeding the expectations of the, you know, detectives and stuff like that. So it really, really complemented each other, both the performance and the character itself. So he deserves all the praise that he gets for being in this episode. It does sneak in some pretty heartfelt moments with Jake and Holt both finding a bit of new respect for each other throughout the interrogation, and that beautiful little moment at the end where they come out and it's 5 o'clock in the morning and they're just going to go back in and work the day. It was just a really, a very kind of police heavy theme without it being too police heavy, if that makes sense. But the climax of the episode where Peralta uses Philip's ego against him and gains the confession is just perfectly acted by Sterling K. Brown. Like, the unraveling that he goes through and the pace of which he unravels was just perfect. And this is a must-see episode. It was hard not to rank this one higher. I definitely wanted to. But you know, we've got some other big hitters on the horizon, so let's get to the top 3. My third favorite episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Season 3, Episode 9, 9 Days. So Holt and Jake get the mumps and they have to quarantine, and as they kind of drift in and out of sanity, I guess, and consciousness, they're still determined to solve this case that they're currently working on. Andy Samberg and Andre Brewer, the way they acted during this episode is pretty top shelf comedy, like just physical comedy, like very basic kind of comedy. But with the complexity of these characters and the show and everything like that, it doesn't feel as basic as it is, but really it's pretty straightforward comedy and they just nail it perfectly. I feel like this episode is Brooklyn Nine-Nine in full stride. Like, the two of them, like, we were still learning more things about Holt, and we got to learn more about it in this one here. We got to see Andy Samberg really, really get over the top with his comedic acting, and Andre Brewer then having to match that as well. So the acting and the writing really came together to make something special with this episode. Santiago is very underrated in this episode as well. She's just the frustration that Santiago has, and not just frustration, but the like eye-rolling frustration that she has with these, you know, sick people with these giant goiters hanging out their neck, is just amazing to see her in that caretaker role so against her will, and just watching these two idiots. But neither are, and it's kind of sweet in a way because neither Holt or Peralta can step away from the job, and they're very similar in that aspect as well. So it's kind of a weird bonding episode for these two, even though they end up at odds with each other. The fight scene where they start poking each other's goiters, the episode built to that beautifully. Like, you really felt by the time they had that fight that these characters were truly feeling uncomfortable and feeling sick and in pain because they'd done so much to establish that, and it just built to that fight scene perfectly. So this episode was just hilarious the entire way through. Like, it's one of those sneaky episodes that when you watch it back, you realize there's so many lines you know that you didn't realize were from this episode. Like, for example, in terms of episodes of TV shows that are just densely packed with classic moments, Community, the Duncan Principle. I think it's episode 4 of the first season. Go watch that and realize how much classic Community is in just that one episode. The Simpsons, Rosebud, where Mr. Burns finds his teddy, or Maggie finds his teddy. Again, jam-packed with jokes, and same goes with Family Guy, North by North Quahog. These are episodes that I've kind of earmarked in my head over the years because I'm like, these are just absolutely brimming with hilarious moments. And I think 9 Days is the Brooklyn Nine-Nine of that kind of thing. My second favorite episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Season 1, Episode 10, Thanksgiving.
Gerald Gimes, a man who solved every crime but one, the murder of his wife.
Peralta, take this seriously.
I am.
So this episode starts with a great cold open, Boyle bingo, which, I mean, we're only in the first season at this point, and they still were able to establish Charles Boyle's character enough to the point where they could have Boyle bingo. Can you imagine if they did Boyle bingo in like season 5? It would have been probably even more hilarious, but they definitely did a good job establishing that Boyle is about as subtle as a kick in the balls, we'll say. But I enjoyed Terry's story of trying to find food on Thanksgiving. It's a pretty simple sitcom kind of thing, but Terry Crews definitely made it something. And the fact that he threw out Santiago's chicken was just a great touch. And speaking of Santiago, the way she invites Captain Holt to Thanksgiving and has these overly high expectations of how it's going to go, and everything's just collapsing. It was a good Santiago storyline, because that was kind of who she was at the time. Like, things would go wrong. Like, she was very organized, but when it came to being social and stuff like that, it never quite pans out. But really, the entire team gets their moment to shine in this episode, especially throughout some of the Thanksgiving scenes with Santiago and everything like that. But obviously, the money shot, we've already talked about it, is Captain Holt finally playing along with Peralta's roleplay. And as I mentioned before, they set that moment up beautifully. They knew the audience wanted to see this moment happen, and they teased it, and then when it finally happened, it was done so thoroughly that what can you do? You can't not laugh at this moment, especially the first time you've seen it. Now that once you know Captain Holt, I'm sure it probably hits a bit differently, but remember, when I was watching this for the first time, it was the first time I'd seen Captain Holt say anything even remotely close to this. And to me, it was such a monumental moment for the series, and the rest of the episode was pretty good as well. Like, it was above average across the board, and I recommend going back and checking out the Thanksgiving episode, not just for the Gerald Grimes scene, but all the rest of it with Santiago, and look at where Santiago and Holt ended up, and then look at where they are in that episode. Like, it's an episode that, watching it back again, it really hits different. And we also get a dork dance. That brings us to the number 1 spot. And now you're probably wondering, there's been no Halloween episodes on here. And I didn't omit any Halloween episodes because I was like, I just want to have one Halloween episode. I genuinely ranked these exactly how I liked. And there was one Halloween episode that stood head and shoulders above the rest. And it is my favorite episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Season 2, Episode 4, Halloween 2.
What? No. What? No. What?
The Holt heist. I think this was the best heist episode, and I think it was probably the best episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, full stop, because we had all the context of the first heist. We'd already been taken on that journey and had our expectations, subverted. The twist came and caught everybody off guard. So now that we knew that, the viewer then goes into this episode with very different expectations, and they did a great job of staying ahead of the viewer in this episode here. And they did a good job of this in future heists as well. But after probably the third and then onwards, it starts to get a little bit predictable, and they have to start getting a bit more out there with the outcome and having a completely different person that you didn't know was even involved in it winning and stuff like that. Whereas this one, it just felt like the perfect blend of the original heist, challenge from Peralta, and how elaborate and crazy it would get as the season goes on. What I loved about this was how easily Captain Holt was able to plan and manipulate Peralta to win this particular heist. Drawing attention to his watch over the year and stuff like that. They really did a good job of making it seem that Holt had subliminally planted these thoughts into Peralta's head. It was another chapter in Captain Holt loosening up and becoming a lot more like Jake. And I think that was a good thing. That was a journey that you know, we saw Holt loosening up, but I never really connected the dots that he wasn't just loosening up. He was becoming more like Peralta, and Peralta would obviously become a lot more like Holt as we go on. And it's represented great in this episode here. It's one of the other reasons that it's so special to me. The first heist was pretty much contained to within the precinct. So when they started taking this one out and then started introducing these other elements that have been planted months before and things like that, it was just the perfect way, because the audience, again, they thought like, aha, you know, I think I know what's going on. I think I have it going on. And they really had no idea. And this was probably the sweet spot for the whole heist saga that we got in the show. We had a side story that was Gina just being kicked out of her dance troupe, Floorgasm, and being saved by Terry at the end, which was a good way to sort of break up the intensity of the heist. And this is when Gina was still a really enjoyable character, and, you know, we wanted to see her get revenge. Now I feel like Floorgasm, I'd be on Floorgasm's side, because Gina just did a whole thing in this series, turned into like a whole, she stayed the same character, but all the good stuff left her and all the terrible stuff stayed, which is really disappointing to see. But seeing Gina in this episode, you know, as the way we remember Gina, that was a great side story for it as well. And, you know, even having Terry like dancing to Salt and Pepper at the end. I mean, this episode had everything you could possibly want. And I don't know if this is going to be a hot take. I don't know if people are going to agree or disagree with this. I know a lot of people put The Box as the best episode of the show. That's what I remember hearing in the comments when I reacted to it. But for me, it's Halloween 2. That was where it was at. And I loved all of these episodes that I've gone through here. Tactical Village is another one that I wanted to put on this list. There were so many others that just couldn't make the cut because I'm only allowed to have 9. But that is my top 9 episodes of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. That's my top 3 Captain Holt moments. That's my top 3 side characters as well. Dozer should have been on there. The Dozer Blast, I don't know why. He's been coming back in my head quite a bit. I was flicking back through some old episodes, and he was great. He was really good. He should have been on this. He should have been on this list somewhere. 9.9 Dozer. There we go. And again, thank you so much for watching all of these episodes of Brooklyn Nine-Nine with me. It has been my pleasure to sit here and edit these videos every single week and never miss a week as well, I might add. Did I ever miss a week? I think I said I was going to once, and then I ended up getting it up in time. But I did a week full of Brooklyn at one point. Like, I really got committed to getting through this series, and it was very easy to do in some ways because it was such an enjoyable show to watch. Charles Boyle, I love you and I hate you all at the same time. He's such a adorable character, but he has such a confronting backstory, and what bugs me is he can't see it. He can't see how goddamn weird it is when he starts talking about all the crazy shit and drinking mother's milk and doing. I don't know, Boyle. I don't know. You make me cringe. But shout out to all the Charles Boyle fans who have been watching this. I know it hasn't been easy on you. I really don't like Boyle. And that's the thing. It's not that I don't like him. He needs to be in the show. He's great. He has some fantastic moments, but he is just so cringy. His backstory is so cringy. Everything about it just makes my skin crawl, and I just can't get away from that. But thanks again, everybody. If you do like watching my reactions, I'm getting close to the end of Schitt's Creek very soon. I just started doing What We Do in the Shadows. I believe I'll be getting into Our Flag Means Death at some point. Maybe Psych. Let me know in the comments. Get loud. But thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Heaps more content coming down the track. And as always, everyone, be well, stay safe, look after your friends. See you in the next video. Peace.
We all spent time at the 9-9 ever since Peralta wouldn't wear a tie. Holt gave Gina a chance while Santiago was doing a dope dance. Terry could throw water to the sun, but won't because he's a decent son of a gun. And Hitchcock got catfished again. Lucky he has Scully as his bestest friend. Brooklyn, Brooklyn. Lastly, I want to say to boy, even though many moments you spoiled, get away with that massage oil.